Okay.
All right, here we are. This is the Massachusetts Beer Review channel of YouTube. I'm Thomas Metal 75. This is John Sharon of the Zone 1 Beer Reviews on YouTube. And we are going to attempt to do a little bit of a pre-Super Bowl beer hangout and chat kind of a thing for a little while, and do all kinds of fun stuff before that game starts. This is, I decided through, I don't really have a whole bunch of beer around, which is strange, I know, but I decided to pull out this KBC Blueberry Ale, Kenny Bunkport Brewing Ale. I guess this beer is sold at the Trader Joe's, and it's done by, I have to tell Maria we started. This beer is done by, they say, the Federal Jack's Restaurant and Brew Pub up in Kenny Bunkport, Maine. Apparently, the Federal Jack's Restaurant and Brew Pub was where the originators of the Shipyard Brewing Company started. And this beer, as far as I can piece together, this beer is actually brewed. It's actually brewed by the Sea Dog Brewery, which is also owned by Shipyard Brewing Company. This is ale with natural flavor. It's 4.5% alcohol by volume, and I believe it's a blueberry wheat ale, actually.
I bet that's going to be good.
I've had the Sea Dog one a couple of times, and I remember actually liking that beer. You get a lot of these beers from Trader Joe's, either if it's from the KBC company or if it's their Trader or their Joseph Brow beers that are actually brewed by really reputable breweries, but they come at a greater discount to the consumer at Trader Joe's.
Yeah, and a lot of them is made by, from what I can find out, and I've had a bunch of them because I really like the value point of them, are made by a lot of your biggest craft breweries right now in the United States for pennies on the dollar for the price of what they're selling theirs for.
I believe the Joseph Brow beers are brewed in California by I just lost it. I
believe Firestone Walker even maybe makes a beer.
Yeah, they do a little bit of their beers, but the one that I'm trying to think of is it's a big brew pub chain around the country. Why can't I think of the name of it right now? It escapes me, this name of this brewery, so I apologize on that. If I remember that, I will obviously update you all on that information. But what are you drinking right now? What do you got?
I am drinking one from the Strike Brewing Company. It's their blonde seasonal ale. It's a slight hoppy golden ale with substantial malt backbone for a definitive flavor. Just a touch of wheat provides a slightly tart, refreshing finish, perfect for any occasion. It's
nice.
Bottled by Strike Brewing Company of San Jose, California. Comes in at 4.5% alcohol, 30 IBUs.
Awesome. Now, the Joseph Brow beers, I just remembered in my brain, they're brewed by Gordon Biersch out in California.
Okay, so we got a Gordon Biersch here on 4th Street down in Louisville right now.
I don't know why I couldn't come up with the name Gordon Biersch.
I was going to say that, and I thought, because they're really opening up a lot of chains around now. So
yeah. Yep, they even got one out in Las Vegas I've been to. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. What? I think they got one down in New Orleans down. I guess they built one a couple years ago, which is a real nice brew pub in Louisville. So
good beer for the price entirely. Yep. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, we share a beer here, and a good buddy of ours is viewing our video live right now. Thank you, ma'am. We all know who you are. She wants to be anonymous, I guess. Anyways, so yeah, it's a real bummer in the New England area here today that the Patriots did not get a chance to attend Super Bowl 50 this year because of a really terrible game they played 2 weeks ago against Denver. It wasn't even, maybe up until the end of that game where it was 2 points apart, it really was a lopsided victory for the Denver Broncos, and Peyton Manning had to have been the star of that game entirely.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be his last year. Or actually, what I've been hearing around here, and you probably heard the same thing. Well, they're wanting him to come back to Indianapolis for his last and final.
Really? Well, maybe he'll do a one-day contract and play one preseason game and then retire or something.
You're wanting him to retire as a Colt, so.
Great. Well, maybe that's the place to do it. We'll see. I just can't imagine having Peyton Manning backing have Peyton Manning as the backup for what's his face there, Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Can't imagine that ever working very well. But that would be a dynamic duo for sure.
Yeah. Yep. It'll be a pretty good game tonight. I mean, I think most of the commercials I think everybody's done watched on TV, so there might be a few spectacular ones that nobody's seen yet. So
I know and I haven't watched it yet. I don't know if it's like a preview of it of the ad or it's naturally the full version of the ad, but I guess there's a new Super Bowl Budweiser commercial. Yeah. That's coming out that's supposed to do more addressing of the craft beer community than telling you to go shove it with your pumpkin peach ale or whatever it is.
But I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Leinenkugel is even going to have a commercial on there tonight. So.
Really? Yeah, they've become so extremely popular with their shandy beers. It's incredible. I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're owned by Miller or they have some kind of a partnership with Miller, which is how you can get a lot of their beers.
I'm sure they're like a lot of these other ones now. I mean, their percentage of buy-in from big three is probably there. I mean, I'm not sure they own it all, but I'm sure they got a percentage of buy-in.
Absolutely, yeah. This is the time that all the breweries try to make their pitch for why their light lager should be drank versus the other light lager, which almost tastes the same, but do what you want. You got to be the educated consumer to know if you're watching the Super Bowl and when you're watching all the advertisements, if that's total BS or if you are going to plan on listening to that, you got to sort of filter out the nonsense. Because some of those beer commercials are pretty crazy.
Yeah, but you give it an hour after it starts and get on YouTube and it'll be crazy for the responses on the Budweiser commercials. So
absolutely. So the beer I'm drinking here, the Kenny Bunkport Blueberry Ale. I guess it's a wheat beer. Go figure. It definitely has a good. I'm using this Anheuser-Busch. I don't know if you can see that, an Anheuser-Busch tasting glass, and it has an etched bottom on it. So I don't know if you can see it. I think you can. It's very champagne-like in the effervescence, definitely. It didn't really pour a huge head, but then again, this glass won't really do that. It definitely has that wheat malt in that, almost like a Pilsner kind of a malty scent. I'm not sure what they use to brew the beer, but it smells that way to me, at least. It definitely has that pancakey kind of a blueberry pancake kind of a smell. And in the taste, I totally get blueberry pancake. It's crazy.
I've drank a couple blueberries. I kind of enjoy those beers.
I think that's one of the few well, I did drink a couple of Coronas last night at a Iron Maiden tribute show and Pantera. And I mean, lime's okay to a certain extent. I'm not really into beers like Bud Light Lime or Miller Chill where they're trying to take a beer style that never was intentionally designed to have lime in it and make it have lime in it. I think it's sort of a false kind of a beer style, this beer and lime thing. But I like the blueberry for whatever reason. The blueberry beers to me kind of just have a brunch. It tastes like they would go well with brunch on a Sunday afternoon or something like that.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, the lime beers need to go. I mean, I'm not a big fan. I mean, I'm not a fan of those lime beers whatsoever, and I'm not a fan of putting lime in beers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree with you that they're taking a base beer, making something out of it that I'm not a big fan of. So,
and the stories that I've heard originally were that they would. I've heard two different stories. One is that you get a beer like Corona, and they started jamming the lime into the bottle because either A, they thought it was going to keep flies and insects out of the beer, which I don't believe that, or B, which is probably more of the point, those beers because they like to sell them in these clear bottles, the beer tends to skunk, and if you jam a lime inside of that beer, hopefully what it will do is mask some of that skunk flavor.
Mm-hmm. But I hear people talk about the skunk flavoring all the time, but I mean, if you take a look at it, most of the beers that people are talking about skunky is your clear bottles and your green bottles.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I sometimes sit back and think, is that with the water that they're using? Is that with the type of adjuncts or ingredients that they're using in these?
Right.
I mean, most of them are adjunct type beers that have those skunk flavors to them.
Exactly. Yep. So I don't know. Yeah. Again, I think it's probably. I don't know what the climate would have been. I mean, not the climate, because I know the physical climate of Mexico here. But what I'm saying is, I don't know what it was like when they came out whenever they came out in the mid-20s. What the brewing scene was like in Mexico, if they had really good methods and practices of keeping beer from skunking or spoiling, or if they had really good refrigeration systems down in Mexico. I'm guessing they probably didn't, but I don't know that. So I don't know how well they could even keep beers back in the 20s or back in the 1800s in Mexico. So if jamming a lime in your beer is gonna enhance the flavor of an already disgusting tasting beer that they couldn't really brew very well and very efficiently or keep it very well from spoiling, then maybe sort of that's the way that it got started like that. I don't know.
But see, you go to a Mexican restaurant or some kind of a restaurant like that around here, and you order a Corona or one of those beers along that line, it's going to have a lemon on it. So even the Blue Moons that they're bringing out, you get. Would you like a lemon with that?
Yeah. They were talking. I've seen these commercials on YouTube and on TV that they talk about with the Blue Moon. They talk about with Blue Moon that they started originally. The company saw people originally having it with a lemon, like a traditional kind of a Belgian wit beer, but they realized, I guess this company realized that, they realized that they use this Valencia orange type of a flavor peel inside of the beer to brew it. So why not garnish the beer like with the lemon, but garnish it with the orange to bring out that orange flavor and bring out that sweetness in the beer. But I don't really, the lime's okay. It doesn't really, to me, it doesn't really make the flavor bad. It doesn't do anything negatively. But, the only one that I might really put the fruit in is a blueberry ale. It's kind of cool. I don't have any blueberries, unfortunately, but if you put the blueberries in here, you've probably seen it. They sort of soak up the CO2 or whatever's in here, and they'll bob up and down, and they'll just do that the whole time in the beer. I think they release gases or whatever, and it causes them to rise to the surface, and then they get sucked up with that moisture, and they float right back down into the glass. It's kind of interesting.
But the beer I'm drinking, it's the Strike Blonde Seasonal Series Ale. I mean, you definitely get that blonde in it. It's got the
hey, hello.
There he is. You definitely get that hint of wheat, but it almost has a honey type taste in it in the back end of it, which brings out, I think, the sweetness and the boldness of the beer, which is really phenomenal.
Do you notice? I don't know. You've probably had a lot of different kind of microbrews. I noticed that a lot of different kind of microbrews either they have that taste of that honey to them, or they use honey actually as because I guess it's a really good way to ferment the sugars and make that into alcohol.
Yeah.
Do you know if that's the case?
Yeah, yeah. And this one here, I mean, it doesn't say anything about using honey, but it's almost got that honey taste that when it goes down on the back end. Hello, Mr. Terrio. How are you doing today?
Hello, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Hold on. Let me write this to this guy. Okay, I'm on a video call because he'll keep wanting to chat to me. I'm on a video call. You can join us. He speaks German, so I know he'll be too shy to join us, but he watches a lot of my... Oh, look, KBC.
Yep.
The first time I drank it, I didn't like it. The second time, I started to come around to it. And you know I use John's name all the time because he agrees that you really got to drink something 5 times.
Yeah, I've heard that before as well. I agree.
You heard it before because we said it.
This and I was saying it to John. This beer, whenever I try, I mean, I think this is a good example of a blueberry ale entirely. But whenever I drink a blueberry ale, and it could be because it's got that wheat characteristic to it, is that it tastes like it would be very, very good with brunch type items.
I
with
agree
brunch,
with
it would be awesome.
Eggs and bacon and some home fries or grits and hollandaise sauce, maybe on poached eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I notice. Absolutely, I notice with that sort of that malt characteristic that I'm getting, and especially the wheat malt. I can tell it's a wheat beer, but it's a filtered wheat beer, as you all can tell. It just has that. It has that almost that doughy hot cake kind of a taste to it with the blueberries. It just reminds me of a liquid pancake or a waffle. I know it's kind of obvious, but it really does taste like that in a liquid form.
I didn't get that much of it, but I did notice that it seemed to really do the job. And I can't understand why the first time I was so harsh on it, and then I came around to it. But I don't think it's because of their quality control. I think it was just me, frankly. Because, you know, who am I to say the beer company was wrong?
Right.
Probably me, right? You know what I mean? Give them a break. I might have eaten something, or I might have just not understood what I was drinking.
Yeah, that's why I like to read the descriptions if there is one. I didn't look for one because I don't think the majority of the Trader Joe's lines of beers, they're private branded beers. I don't think they have really a website you can go on to and read an actual lengthy description or anything. But again, I like to read these descriptions because of what you were just saying. It helps me understand either what their intent was in brewing the beer or what I'm supposed to get out of the beer. And so it helps me have a little bit more knowledge and a background sense. But you know, with a beer like this, I think when it says blueberry ale, you should probably know at least what you're getting into when you're having one of those kind of beers.
And I can also say, you know, I've had quite a few of the Trader Joe's beers. I've never had a bad one, which Aldi's grocery store chain is which owns Trader Joe's.
Oh, yeah?
Huh?
Aldi?
Yeah, Aldi owns Trader Joe's. You can look that up because you're smiling at me. But, yes, I mean.
Because you told me Miller Coors owned Gordon Bierce, but.
Well, I did read that somewhere, though, so I'm sorry. But, yeah, you know, I mean, I buy a lot of beers from Aldi's, and I've really enjoyed a lot of the beers they have.
Yeah, I tried some of their German imports, and they were nice.
Yeah.
Hey, but I'm not one to talk because I say incorrect. I say incorrect things too, like about New England beer reviews, and I got well told. I felt so shamed. You know about that?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be too concerned about that.
Jeff said he wasn't mad. I mean, he was just irritated because you know he's really careful about his NEBR. So and I told him, I said, we were just talking like you forget the camera's on, right? And you're just talking blah blah blah. And
yeah.
You know, if you're running your mouth long enough and you're drinking, you might say a few things that are incorrect or just
no comment on my end on that one. No.
Or just you might even say things that are plain stupid. I mean,
right.
I have.
But it keeps it to me like we're doing here. It keeps it very fun, upbeat, and most importantly, it's honest because I mean, as much as we're not really having a preconceived dialogue here, but we're saying what we actually mean to say, either about the beer or about whatever we're talking about, and it keeps it a little bit more. To me, it keeps that a little bit more fun than having everything scripted out that you do. Although, if you're like some of those serious beer reviewers out there that really have professional cameras and lighting and editing and all those kind of fun and fancy things, they take it to the absolute max.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And but are you saying that we're like a pub? Are you stealing people's idea? I'm just kidding, because I was joking about a pub, and Tom Beer Whisperer, he said, "You're stealing my idea." I said, "I'm not."
What I say is we're more like the true version of honest craft beer reviewers. Let me put it that way. Uh-oh. I just got thumbs down immediately saying that.
Yeah, please don't. I have enough heat. Let's not. Ooh, this had some nice foam. Yeah, let's not stoke the flames, right, John?
Yeah, I guess.
I did look that up, and I am correct on this. The Aldi's chain does own Trader Joe's.
Nice.
So that might take a lot of the hipsters out of freaking buying anything, but so Trader Joe's was founded by Joe Colombi and has been owned since 1979 by the German Family Trust establishment by Aldi Nords. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've been to Aldi. They don't have them around here, but I've been to them. But, I'm talking about Beer Whisperer and Jeff. I would invite them. I sent Jeff a link and said you should join us and bring a New England beer. Because, Tom's concept is good.
Yeah.
I know you hang out with him pretty frequently, John, and the idea of a pub and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I done one a whiskey with William Monday, and we actually sit around and talk for about 30 minutes after that. It was probably one of the best conversations I've been into, but it wasn't recorded live. We actually talked about the consistency of beers in the craft beer industry, and to me, I like a consistent type beer, and he doesn't think that he doesn't like the consistency in the craft beer. He likes maybe it being different from year to year to year, and I know a lot of people like that, and I respect those people like that likes the inconsistencies in the craft beer industry. But to me, if I want to buy a beer this year and I want to buy it next year, I want consistency in one.
Right, and
I'm spending $15 or $20 or $5 or $10 on a craft beer. I don't want the beer, and if I enjoy it, I'm going to buy it again next year, because most of the beers that we drink are seasonal beers that come out once a year. But I want to know if I'm going to buy that beer and I'm going to spend that kind of money on that beer, that I want that beer the same next year as when it comes out and the next year that comes out.
Yeah, and you know why?
Would be misled and say, hey, this beer is just the same this year, and it's not the same.
Yeah, and you know why? Because haven't we had too many disappointments?
Yes.
Yes.
Not that it's different, that we've had problems where it's just flat out bad.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. Now, here's a beer, Lee Russell was saying, oh, Jay, he says, and I like Lee Russell's reviews. Now, I'm not attacking him, but he was saying, Jay's always saying, oh, these garbage beers like Busch Light. Maria said, turn on the question and answer. These garbage beers like Busch Light are so consistent, and that's what I like. And he was kind of mocking me but he was saying that I don't like craft beers because they're inconsistent. Now, I never said I didn't like craft beers. Obviously, I like craft beers because what am I drinking like half the time, right?
Yeah.
I said I don't like the problem with this, like John's ranting about this inconsistency. It's like, why should stuff taste so different all the time? And it's not just me saying it, right? I read about it all the time.
I've said it for years, the inconsistency of it. I mean, a lot of the beers that we buy around here, I mean, they have local events around here that their beers trade very well. I'm not going to mention the name on air, but I mean, that are inconsistent from year to year to year. And if I spend $20 on a 750 milliliter bottle, I want the same next year that I give them the $20 for as it was this year. I'm not, you know what I mean? I mean, that's
if you're paying $2, it's no big deal. If you're paying $20, it better darn well pan out. Right?
Pretty close to what it was last time, you know. And
hey, this Busch Light that we're going to examine next week, don't you find they changed the label a little bit?
I thought what we drink. I thought we was drinking Milwaukee's Best Light.
That's in.
I said next week. Milwaukee's Best Light this week.
Yeah.
Busch Light next week.
Okay.
Yep.
But I bought a 12-pack of it, and I noticed that the label looks different.
And then tomorrow night at 7, we're doing the Busch Copper Series, right?
Busch Signature Copper Lager.
That is nowhere to be found in New England.
Nobody can find. You know, it's funny. The best beer Anheuser-Busch made in the last 20 years, and they don't let anybody buy it. Oh, wait, John, something's wrong, John. Did you get attacked by somebody who shaved your face?
I shaved yesterday just for the common fact that it was itching me, and I was done with it for a while. So
I shaved, and I was cutting my lip. I cut my chin and my neck a little bit.
Just quickly here for our one.
See what my little girl wants.
For our one viewer. For our one viewer, I have turned the Q&A on, and I saw you say hello. So hello, viewer, who wants to be kept anonymous to this live chat, but still wants to say hello.
Yeah, we will not name this viewer's name.
No. But she did say hello, and I can read the Q&As when they come in, which is cool. I didn't know that's what that was for, but that's awesome. I like it.
Nor will we identify this person either directly or indirectly. Will we allude to this person's identity? But the Super Bowl is coming up. Yes, I went to a Mardi Gras parade. I was going to go all the way down to New Orleans and go see these 3 parades and try to meet up with Sonia. But then I got a call from someone else in Laplace, and they said, well, we're having a parade party. We have all kind of food. Why don't you come over here? And I said, well, let me think about it. And then I said, okay, let me go over there. I don't really feel like going to New Orleans because I might have to drive back to New Orleans later this week to pay a speeding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Jay.
Yeah, that's really funny. Would you like to and pay the $205.75?
No.
I had to pay one for my wife here not too long ago.
The problem is I got the ticket, and I kept looking it up on their website, and it kept saying case not found, case not found. I was like, good grief. So finally, January 26th, it said, oh, here's the case, and it listed the inventory of the ticket, and okay, $205.75. You can pay electronically, it said. Oh, I said, okay, that'll be easier than even mailing a check. So I typed in all my information, and it said, okay, done, here's your confirmation number. A couple of days later, I checked my checking account, no deletion. They haven't taken any money. So I called the number on the speeding ticket, and I said, what's going on? Oh, no, it says it's all straight. Everything's straight. I said, yeah, but they never took any money out of my account. Oh, no, the case is settled. You pled guilty. It's fine. I said, I don't think it's fine because it's not being deleted. Oh, well. So then a week later, it's still not. And I call them again. Oh, yeah, it says case settled. Everything's fine. I said, yeah, but it's not taking the money out of my account. Don't you understand? If you don't pay a speeding ticket, they're going to put a warrant out for your arrest. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it's fine. Okay, so guess what I get in the mail yesterday?
You got the notice you didn't pay.
If you do not pay this ticket, we will issue a warrant for your arrest. And it's like, wait a minute. What they said was the bank returned the check. Well, it wasn't a real check. It was electronic, right?
Oh, yeah, an ETF, yep.
So perhaps I typed in the wrong number or something, but you could never look at what happened to see if you had made a mistake.
Yeah, somebody should be able to go into that database, because I've done it in the line of work that I do. You should be able to go in that database, and you can tell if a check was voided or it got bounced back or you didn't receive it. They know how to look that up. They just didn't want to help you and try and find out that information.
It's not that I didn't have the money in the account. I had lots of money in the account. It's that I probably typed in the account number wrong.
Yep.
Something like that. Or, these banks have all these debit card protection now.
Yeah.
And there was nothing where you could type in that that security code number. So it's probably something like that. But it's like, I can't fix this.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Our viewer says, fugitive, you should be anonymous, not LOL.
But you could type in a wrong routing number or something too, Jay, where it didn't route back.
Right. But there was no way for me to access what happened to fix it. So I got to call the number tomorrow on that mean letter.
Yeah.
If you need assistance with this matter, I'm going to call them and say, look, I have been trying to pay the ticket for 3 weeks, okay? But I know what's going to end up happening. I'm going to have to drive all the way back to New Orleans and go get money out of the bank and just pay them cash. Well, I could have done that 3 weeks ago, thank you, when I was driving over there. So.
Yep.
But let me tell you about a beer I seen the other day that I didn't even know existed anymore. Miller Fortune.
Oh, yeah, well, I was looking at Miller Fortune Friday.
I thought I just stumbled through a Kroger the other day. Well, I didn't know that beer was even still being made, Miller Fortune.
Oh yeah, it's still lingering on.
Yeah.
Well, your face looks good without the beard, but it didn't look bad with the beard. My mustache looked fine, I guess. Some people said they thought they were watching Magnum P.I. from 1982, and other people said, Heil Hitler and all that, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. But mainly I had grown it because I kept cutting my lip. You know, when you get a brand new razor, it would like cut my lip. I was like, damn, if I grow the hair, it's not going to get cut. But then it grows too long, and then you got to clip it, and you got to.
Yeah, I just avoid that.
Then it was too high here, and too high there, and too high, and I was like, you know what, I'm just shaving it off.
Dollar Shave Club.
Yep.
Yeah, but that Dollar Shave Club ain't going to have anything to do with if you get your mustache level or not. Exactly. Well, this Bush beer.
Yeah, you still got to do the work.
Yeah.
The Bush beer is fine. This Bush Light, and I don't understand. Well, I don't want to preempt our examination in a week and a half, but it's really weird because this beer is 4.1% alcohol, and the Bush is 4.3, and they're almost identical in calories. So it's like, why would you buy the light when you can get the regular that has a little bit more flavor and it's almost the same item?
Mm-hmm.
But
it's probably just another portion of the market that they can sell to because some people might find I don't think us. Some people might find that regular Bush or say between Budweiser and Bud Light, that Budweiser is too rich and full-bodied, but Bud Light is an easier drinking experience. Maybe it's the same thing with Bush and Bush Light. I don't know.
I think you're right.
It could be. And another thing could be that some people are just in a comfort zone when the beer says light on it.
That's a lot of it. I mean, you're only talking a couple points difference on the Bush Light and the Bush. I mean, and I think it's a comfort zone of people thinking they're drinking a light beer. And for the price point, it's a couple bucks cheaper really than the regular Bush.
Well, not over here. Over here, it's the same price, $8 a 12-pack right now. I think they're going to lower the price after Mardi Gras, but during Carnival season, everybody's buying mega amounts of beer for parades.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to jack that price up because people aren't going to buy beer?
Right.
They're going to buy the beer. The only beer that didn't go up was Steel Reserve 211. They still got it for $3.99 a 6-pack of pints.
Damn! Wow.
$3.99 a 6-pack of pint cans, but it's the 6%, the mild one.
Oh.
And John can tell you it's a whole lot different than that 8.1, isn't it, John?
Yes, it is. It's a whole lot better, and I almost prefer the 6% over.
Really, because the 8.1% version, I think you guys know that, and our viewer probably knows that. Maybe she does. Maybe he or she does. Excuse me.
I don't think she wants her to be anonymous. I think she wants everybody to know that.
Stand by.
She said that she had tried that beer, and that was the only malt liquor she ever tried, Steel Reserve, and so she thought she hated that style because of that. I said, Maria, I said, hey, person.
Yeah.
His name is Martin. Martin.
Yeah, I said, Martin. Excuse me. I said, Martin, you tried the harshest malt liquor on the market with like the most take no prisoners approach. I'm talking about of major brand malt liquors. I'm not talking about that gutter trash like Dog Bite. Oh. I said, so you really kind of went into the wrong one. If this person, Martin Delabatova, had tried, if that person, Martina, really is Martina, had tried, say, Country Club or
Yep.
King Cobra, I think the perception of that style would have been different.
Yeah, what she says right now, she is saying what oh, good Lord. This person is saying when I first started tasting beer, the 6% was considered the shale in the beer in the beer cycles among the enthusiasts of the style. Well, the circles.
Mm-hmm.
Inside of the circles, that was considered a good beer in the styles. Is what his or her memory of the beer is.
But I mean,
I don't know anybody. I don't ever remember Steel Reserve being considered like.
Oh, and she meant to say that it was a whale, and by a whale meaning she thought that the 6% was hard to find beer.
It is. It's almost impossible to find. John can tell you that, and you know that you never see it. But that's why I wish New England Beer Reviews NEBR was on with us right now, Jeff, because he said he gets to 6% close to where he lives.
Really, I've never seen it. Never.
There's no sense to the distribution.
And what I was gonna say before I started choking over here and I had to mute the camera was that 8.1% beer. The 8.1 Steel Reserve is one of the worst beers I've ever tasted in my life. And now, about the worst thing that I've ever tasted besides Not Your Father's Ginger Ale was a very, very skunky bottle of Miller 64. But other than that, Steel Reserve 8.1 was not a very enjoyable experience. And to my recollection, the only reasoning that 8.1 is available on the market is to get you drunk by the 40 ounce.
But if I'm gonna sit back and honestly say that, I mean, I'm a malt liquor fan. I like malt liquors. But now that it's funny because you can't get the malt liquors here in Indiana that you can get 10 miles over the river in Kentucky. But now we're starting to get a lot more in Kentucky. The high gravity Colt 45s and the high gravity Old E's, but you can go at this place and buy a high gravity Colt 45, and 5 miles down the road you can buy a St. Ides. But you can't buy. They never heard of St. Ides here, and this place never heard of Colt 45 high gravity. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it's the distribution within a 5 mile radius. To me, is just freaking crazy. You think they'd all have basically the same beers or the same malt liquors or same anything, but
yeah, but you're close. Yeah, but you're so close to a state border, and that makes all the difference, John.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, because look, in Louisiana. Well, I don't live close to Texas. I'm 206 miles from Texas. But let's just say I lived in Vinton, Louisiana, which is 4 miles from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You can only get the 6% in Vinton. You cross that bridge to Orange, Texas, and stop at the first convenience store, and it's 8% Steel Reserve. You can get Lone Star at that supermarket or convenience store. You can get Pearl beer. You can get what's another one?
We can
you cross into Louisiana, you'll never see it.
See, we can get Long Star here in Indiana.
Lone Star beer?
Yeah, we can get Long Star in like 2 or 3 places around here, but we can get it.
Yeah, I can get that beer in Massachusetts, definitely.
The Texas beer?
Yes.
Huh.
That's something we ought to look at one night. I mean, I'd be willing to look at Long Star. I really enjoy that beer.
I think that's because Pabst has bought out that beer or has some kind of buyout to the beer.
They bought Lone Star so long ago, but I can't get it. The only Texas beer we can get around here, besides Shiner, of course, is
St. Arnold.
Well, it's nothing. We used to be able to get Pearl, which to me is better than Lone Star. It's got a little more roast flavor. Have
you got a can or a bottle of Pearl?
Last time I got Pearl beer in Louisiana was about 1997.
Damn.
96.
Man, I actually think I might be able to get Pearl. I'm gonna have to look down in Louisville because I think I've seen that for some reason.
Our number one viewer, we have 2 viewers at the moment. Our number one viewer says that he or she has had Shiner before and that would be within the state of New York.
Yeah, Shiner's kind of common. Oh, back to Steel Reserve real fast, and then I'll be quiet for a minute. In 1998, when I started buying Steel Reserve, it was the 8.1 in Louisiana now. And I used to drink it, and I kind of liked it, but I found it did have kind of a harsh kind of a, what you call a bite to it.
Yeah.
Shark bite to it.
Sharp, but it didn't turn me off, but I used to think, boy, this beer's got like a going on. And I didn't, you know.
Our viewer here on the Q&A is telling us that we can divulge his or her name if we want. So we can say...
You talking about the girl next door?
Yeah, we can say we got Maria Devon, the girl next door, not joining us on camera, but she is joining us via some text chats.
Maria Devon. Hey,
oh, there you go. Nice to have you.
I invited Jeff with NEBR, and Jeff and I were hanging out last night, and because I was talking to him about my faux pas, about saying NEBR, and we got that straightened out, thankfully. And he was saying, you know, really, Anheuser-Busch beers are New England beers because there's a brewery in New Hampshire, and that he's thinking about possibly doing those beers, even though the headquarters is in St. Louis. And he said he might change NEBR to Eastern Beer Reviews, where he can encompass the whole Northeast. And I kind of felt funny about that. I said, well, maybe. I said, but if you only did New England beers, wouldn't that keep you pretty occupied? He said, yeah, it would, because there's so many New England beers.
I think there's so many beers in a lot of areas that you know, I mean, I could sit here and drink 1,500 beers. I could and never trade for one, but there's thousands of beers that you can drink within your area.
If I only did Louisiana beers, if I only did Louisiana beers, I don't think I would run out.
No.
And I did 6 a week.
Yeah, and I just seen that Abita root beer the other day, and I almost picked some up. I kind of got on a different tangent because I like bourbon beers, and I kind of walked out. I kind of should have grabbed a couple of those. So.
Are you bootleg? I saw people drinking that at the parade today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I did go to. I went on that long story about the speeding ticket, but I did go to the La Place parade, and a lot of people were having a good time, and the weather was 58 degrees with not a cloud in the sky and no wind.
Yeah.
So
it's been pretty nice here today, so probably 50 today here, so I mean the sun's out. I mean that's a good day.
It's about to get real brutal, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be. I think we're going to get another 5 to 8 inches tomorrow.
It's about to be an imperial stout kind of day.
Exactly. You know it. You know it, son. Yeah.
Hey, Maria, I was thinking about I'm drinking this Taylor Golden Sherry. That's from Canandaigua, New York, which is close to her in the Finger Lakes region. I was going to ask her if she thinks I should next, after I finish the cream sherry, which will take forever. Not cream sherry, excuse me, golden sherry. If I should go and try this very old brand, it's been around for at least 50 years. It's called Taylor Lake Country Red Wine, and it's from Canandaigua, New York. I mean, you know, they sell it at Wegmans and they sell it at Mathern's. It's about $10 a bottle. You get a big old jug of it. What is it? 1.5 liters, 1,500 milliliters. But obviously, wine aficionados and wine snobs would puke hearing me say that. But you know, it's kind of fun to try these beers that a lot of people drink, or these wines that people drink and would never admit it.
Yeah. I mean, I drink an occasional glass of wine. My wife's a wine enthusiast. I mean, I've got a wine cellar down here that's got a lot of probably 100 bottles of wine in it. But I like a good glass of wine every once in a while. But we got so many wineries popping up here. Wineries around this area is popping up about as fast as craft breweries are. And it's kind of crazy on how they're doing that. So, but I mean, we hit a couple regularly and really enjoy them. And
yeah, I don't really have a taste for wine.
And actually, the one winery was going to name a wine after us because I told him he needed to take this one and mix them together because I think it'd be really phenomenal. So he goes, I'm going to try that, see if I can get by with it, and because because I'll name it after you guys.
Wow.
It sounds like Maria didn't know that the Kuka Lake was an actual brewery as well as a winery.
I don't know much about the Finger Lakes. I just know they're called the Finger Lakes because it's like 5 lakes that are long like fingers.
That's the big wine region up in the north here.
When I was driving along Lake Erie through Pennsylvania, New York, heading to Buffalo and what do you call it, Niagara Falls, my grandmother was like, "Look at all these vineyards! Look at all these vineyards!" She was like going crazy, and I was like, "Yeah, man, look at that! I knew they grew wine up here." And I can remember this was in the year 2000, 16 years ago almost, and we went to Ottawa, Canada now, I believe this. We drove all the way to Nova Scotia, but we were in Ottawa, the capital city, and since I was 17 years old, she's like, "Go do what you want. I'm going to do what I want." You know, when I was a teenager, there was no supervision. She took me to Costa Rica, and she was like, "Well, okay, bye." She's letting me roam all around San Jose, Costa Rica by myself, with no supervision. And my father would have heard. If my father would have known that, he'd have flipped out. But we were in Canada, and she was drinking.
He will now.
Huh?
He will now. If he watches the video.
He'll just say like, "Yeah, I can believe her doing that," But they were in Ottawa, and they were drinking Murphy's Stout on draft. I can remember that. I have a photo of her drinking that Murphy's Stout, and I remember when we got back from this long, very grueling trip, really, all the way to Canada, Nova Scotia, no less. We were parked, and we were like, "Oh, we're so tired." And my grandma was like, "I want a beer. She's 89 years old now, by the way. She's gonna be 89 in April. She said, "I want a beer. I want a beer." I said, "Okay, let me go in this convenience store." So I bought her a 24-ounce can of Red Dog.
Whoa.
I remember this is in August, right? So it's really hot in Louisiana. I brought that Red Dog out to the car. It was only like 99 cents back then. And I was like, "Here, Mama." That's what I say, Mama. And she's like, "Oh, thank you, darling." And she started drinking it. "Oh, this is so good."
Don't they still make Red Dog?
Yes.
She wiped that can out. You can't find Red Dog anywhere.
I can find Red Dog every now and then, but when I find the Red Dog, it is only in 30 packs of 12-ounce cans.
It used to be so common down here, and then it was not so common, and then it was barely hanging on, and then they took it off the market here because the distributor said it just was not selling.
Well, yeah,
y'all know that's the best beer Miller makes, pretty much, ain't it?
I've never had the courage to buy a whole 30-pack of it.
Nah, I've got a few bottles left from a trade I did with Scott White about 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Red Dog.
I'm actually thinking about freezing one try here the next day and shooting up a video on it. So.
We examined Red Dog, and John has had it, and he can tell you that beer is made with like 5 different hop varieties and 3 different malts. It's like way better than a regular beer from Miller, and it used to be, and you know this, John, it used to be sold as like on the Michelob level.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, back when it first came out. I mean, it was. But if you take a look back then when Red Dog come out, there was a couple other of those red beers that come out that they all kind of petered out about the same time.
Red Wolf.
Red Wolf, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
That was really a red beer. Red Dog is only a little red.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. But it's weird, like the best beer Anheuser-Busch makes, Busch Signature.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, Joe Frazier died. Oh wait, that was a long time ago. What is this?
You'll see on YouTube people posting, today somebody died, but maybe like 3 years ago.
Wasn't Red Dog actually made by the Plank Road Brewing Company when it first came out?
Yes, Plank Road, Miller, yes.
In other words, Miller.
Yeah, with the Ice House.
The other one, there was what was it? The Southpaw and the Southpaw Light.
Southpaw Light.
That predates me being 21 by a long shot.
And look. Oh look, you posted it on Facebook. I'm looking at Facebook. Where's all our gang? Where's all these people? What are they doing? Hey,
we have 2 viewers, 2 of them right now.
Oh, that is terrible. Hey.
Thank you, Maria, and you other guy, you.
The best beer Miller makes, Red Dog. They don't promote it, and it barely sells. The best beer Anheuser-Busch makes, Busch Signature Copper Lager. They don't promote it, and it don't sell.
You know, I don't understand that.
The best beer Coors makes, Coors Extra Gold. They don't promote it, and it don't sell. Now, explain that to me.
See, I can't get the Coors Extra Gold, and I would love to. I got a buddy getting ready to come in here a little bit from Colorado, and I'm going to see if he can bring me I'm glad you said that, because I'm going to see if he can bring me some Extra Gold in.
Who can get it?
Again, just like with Red Dog, every now and then I'll see the Coors Extra Gold, but again, it's only in a 30-pack, and I think some of these beers like Miller and Bud, and Miller and Anheuser-Busch and Coors, I think some of their downfall could be that so you've never seen one of their beers before you've heard of the name like Coors Extra Gold, but finally when you see it, you got to commit to 30 cans of this beer. Like, I'm like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, but Eric, if you want a good standby beer that you just drink like I'm drinking right now to hang out, you can't go wrong with any of those 3 beers I listed.
And you know, I don't understand why they don't take that Signature Series and advertise it more, because that's just a freaking phenomenal beer, in my opinion. That's probably one of the best Busch beers out there on the market right now.
I wish we could get Tom the Beer Whisperer to join us tomorrow, because he hated it. I'd like to see his opinion. You know what I mean? I'd like to see him, what he said about it, because he said, what am I? He asked me if I was on their payroll. And he said
that's right.
He said that beer was. I'm not saying anything that wasn't stated publicly, because he stated it publicly, but he said, he said it finished lazy. I didn't really quite understand that, because I found it finished pretty crisp and clean and refreshing. But I would like to see him appear and talk about it, because I mean, you know, if it's me and John doing it, we're not gonna get offended about a darn beer.
Right.
But the last thing I'm going to do is get mad about a beverage, and that's about the last thing John Sharon's going to do is get upset about a beverage.
So, yeah, I would definitely agree with that statement entirely. And my other statement I want to make here is I've been sitting here having a nice little pre-Super Bowl sort of a chat with you guys and reflecting on some Kenny Bunkport blueberry wheat ale I've been drinking here. And I really think that this is a exceptional beer. I really, really like this. I think it's a good beer. Now you got to look at it in the context of it's a blueberry beer. Beer Advocate's going to call it a fruit vegetable beer. And if you're looking at it, to me, in that style, you can't do much better than that beer. And I know, and I mentioned it before you came on, Jay, I know that this company that they say that makes it on Beer Advocate, the Federal Jack's Restaurant and Brew Pub, I know that they were the ones that started brewing the Shipyard beers, and they decided to, or they were, you know, they were the place where those Shipyard guys started brewing beer, and they thought about making a bigger place to get beer started. And I believe the blueberry ale is made by Sea Dog, which is owned by Shipyard. So I mean, there's a lot of good names being put into this Kenny Bunkport Brewing Company beers for Trader Joe's, and I think this is one of the better ones I've gotten from Trader Joe's. So I would give it at least a high B+, an 88 or 89 for sure.
Yeah, don't you think it's better than the one that Anheuser-Busch makes?
You know, I've never actually tried that Wild Blue beer.
My daughter likes it. Like, she was a big booster of that beer. Of course, she didn't know who made it. She doesn't care who makes it.
Right.
But she said, but it is really strong. It's high alcohol and it's thick. She said it's like syrupy, so she wouldn't drink too much of it, but she does like it. I am kind of like, You know what I drank before I went on here with y'all? I drank, and I'm going to post it tonight. It's not going to take long to upload. It's only 4.5 minutes long. Henry's orange soda.
Ooh.
I've got one up there. I'm getting ready to do a video here, just a little bit on.
Well, let me tell you this. Did I hate it? Yeah. But that ain't saying much because I pretty much hate soft drinks now.
Yeah.
So that's a dumb thing to say. But for a alcoholic, we call them soft drinks. I don't know what y'all say in Massachusetts. Soda pop?
Just soda.
Soda?
I'm not coming down there. I'll tell you a story here in a second. But
what do they say in Indiana?
I call them pops.
Pops, see? We say soft drinks. But for that, an orange drink, it's great. I mean, it's an A.
I think it's
I would never buy it, but it's,
overcarbonated just a little bit.
I like carbonation. What are you about to say?
Well, when we was coming off the main strip of that one night, we stopped at that hamburger place. Gosh dang it. What I want to say.
Crystal?
Crystal Burgers. I walked in there and I told that guy, I said, I want 2 Crystal Burgers with cheese, French fries, and a pop. So real make a long story short, so the guy hands me a pie. I said, I didn't order a pie. He goes, yeah, you did. I said, no, I ordered a pop. He goes, well, it sounded like a pie. I don't want a pie. I want a pop. He goes, well, that's extra. So that's what I ordered. He goes, well, if you want a soda drink, you got to order a soda drink. You can't say pop because pop sounds like pie.
No, it does not. I'm sorry. No, it does not.
Actually, if you go to McDonald's or Church's Chicken or Popeyes or Burger King in Louisiana, it'll say soft drink on the bill on the information sign. So I guess they know that people around here say that, and they know that. It's really, I never heard people say soda pop until I started interacting with people from other states. Everyone said soft drink.
Yeah. See, I call it pop, soda pop or pop.
I just had never heard that term, except maybe on Little Rascals. That was from California. We're going to get a soda pop.
Right.
But, or they said, I think they say pop. Well, guess what beer I've got lined up next?
What's going on?
Should I pick the Busch Signature Copper Lager or should I reach for the Amstel Light?
I don't know. I've got an Amstel Light, I guess. I'm drinking a Miller Lite.
Yeah, I gotta go get some Super Bowl beer. I'm trying to figure out what's the beer to get now. Knowing I cannot get Busch Copper Lager and probably will not go to the store that I'm going to and find Red Dog anywhere.
You know, Eric.
What should I get?
Eric, if you get on the Busch website,
yep,
there's a locator tool for each one of their beers. That's true. You can type it in.
Oh, for the Busch and the Busch Light?
Or they've got no. That website is quite extensive.
Huh.
It talks about Busch, Busch Light, Busch Ice, and Busch Signature Copper Lager, and it gives a complete recipe list of each of those beers and the history of them. And it's a pretty well made. It's got the whole history of Busch beer and everything. I mean, it's a fascinating website.
Sure, right.
It won't take you that long to look through it, but it'll say Fine Busch.
Yep. It'll
say Fine Busch, and you can type in which Busch beer you're looking for, and it'll tell you if it's in your area.
I see that now. I'm gonna try that.
Be shocked.
Because the last time we tried to review this beer on your channel, they told me the Anheuser-Busch distributor in my area told me that they don't even sell it in New England. But if I look it up right now, they don't have it anywhere to buy it in a store, and they don't have it anywhere at a bar to try it.
But see, I've been looking around a lot because me and you, Jay, and Eric, a lot talk about these beers that nobody else likes.
Yep.
But I've been noticing a lot. I mean, the Bash 19's still out. I mean, and a lot of these other beers like that. I mean, like I seen the Miller Fortune's still out, and I want to pick some of those up. I want to pick some more Bash 19 up, and some of these other beers that I think eventually it's just going to fade away and nobody's even going to remember.
Wouldn't surprise me to see Third Shift and all that die out.
Third shift, we can still get a few third shifts around here, a few places. So
if you don't promote a product, it won't sell. Now Busch sells because Busch is a known product. It's been on the market for 60 years, and you've got dedicated Busch drinkers. That's why Busch and Busch Light are both in the top 20 beers sold.
Yeah, I can find I can find Busch and Busch Light in my area, and I cannot find Busch Ice or the Copper Lager.
Oh no, Busch Ice has never been sold in Louisiana.
That's crazy. I bet you I could find the Busch non-alcoholic. I find a lot of these, and I can get the Busch non-alcoholic in my area. But if I'm gonna drink a beer, I'm not gonna buy a non-alcoholic version. But that's just me.
Well, they still haven't posted the top 20 selling beers of 2015 yet.
Huh. I actually got on there today and looked, and I've not seen them. They're still under 14. I'm sure they're not a lot changed. Just maybe a little bit of the dollar value on where they're at.
I sure would like to see that, because that was Dayton, Ohio newspaper that listed them all.
But if you take a look at 13 and 14, there's not much change in the level of where they're at. It's just the price point of the millions or billions of dollars that they sold.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about it. So I actually got on today, looked, and I didn't see nothing. I haven't seen nothing yet. So
no. Oh, so I'm not the only one fretting that out.
No, I'm looking at it myself. So
because it's nice to know. So let's see. Tomorrow, I might have to drive to New Orleans to go pay the ticket, but I should be back for 6 o'clock to do the signature Copper Lager.
Yeah.
And then you're going to hang out with the pub.
Yeah. I'm going to go to bed after that.
Then go to bed.
And Wednesday night we're doing
Milwaukee's Best Light, and Eric might show up with just regular old Milwaukee's Best or Milwaukee's Best Ice as a counterpoint.
Yeah. If I go to the store and I can get a tall boy of the ice, I would like to do that.
I think that's what we need to start looking at a little bit, instead of people not joining in because they can't get that particular beer. I mean, I think it'd be nice if we could do a joint adventure of people that can't get the beer, bring the other beers that, say, if you can't buy the one beer, the light, buy the regular version, or buy the ice version or something.
See how it plays off of one another.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a shame that he can't get the Milwaukee's Best Light, because, to me, John, that's one of the best light beers on the market. Somebody was saying on my Facebook page, that beer has no taste. I said, wrong.
It has
a hop bite. It has a noticeable hop presence.
It does. To me, that beer right there has more of for light beer, has a big hop presence. It's got a big malt presence. I mean, the grain's there, the corn and stuff's there, but I mean, overall, I mean, you definitely get that light beer over any light beer I've had. It's definitely got the hop forward taste to it. So
interesting.
But I mean, for me, here I can get a 30-pack for $15.97, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, it's 17. It's 17 here.
Yeah, the dirt cheap 30-pack for me in my area has to be anything Genesee, anything.
We can't
That's
get that.
always cheap.
We can't get that, but they sold Genesee 2 years ago, the Genesee Cream Ale.
Mm-hmm.
That bombed out because there was only one store selling a 6-pack of it for $4.69.
Huh.
They had it stuck over in the corner where you couldn't barely see it. No one knew what it was. I did, So I mean, what do you think's going to happen?
Right.
I haven't had Genesee. I almost picked up a 12-pack the other day down in Louisville. I was down there, and I didn't, but I need to get some of that. But I want to get a bunch of. Actually, now Kroger up here sells $9.99 any variety 6-pack you want. You can pick out 6-pack singles, and I want to get a whole bunch of the Molsons and try those. Like they got like the ice and one Molson Blues.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I want to do. I've had 2 or 3 people hit me up and going, would you do Molson Ice? And some of the Molsons, I mean, they're cheap, they're inexpensive, they're good beers. I mean, what the heck? Somebody wants to see me do one, I'll do one. So.
Genesee. I can't remember what I was going to say. That's a pretty good beer, but I don't like the regular Genesee too much. I like the Genesee Cream Ale, and I really like the Genesee Ice, although it's still not quite up to the ice beers that.
By far, I prefer the Bud Ice.
Yeah, I don't think it can match up to what you're getting from Genesee, from Anheuser-Busch and Miller Coors.
Mm-hmm. It has that freezer. It almost has that freezer burn kind of a flavor that a lot of those ice
never
beers
seen
now.
Genesee's ice, but what other people's posts on, I've never seen it. We can't get it there. Genesee's is the only beer we can get. So
It's kind of. I'll tell you another problem. A lot of those beers are made in Rochester, like the Labatt Ice and Labatt Blue Royale and Labatt, but not regular Labatt now. Regular Labatt is still made in Montreal. Oh, I'm sorry, Toronto. But those ones that are made in Rochester, New York, they're not good.
are they made by the Winery Exchange? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, the Winery Exchange is a company that handles store brands.
Yeah.
And they use the Rochester Brewery to brew their brands.
Yeah, that's where they brew most of the Narragansett beers in Rochester, New York.
Yeah, Rochester is owned by Florida Ice and Farm, a Costa Rican company.
Huh.
And
Wow.
and they bought Genesee, and they bought Genesee, Dundee, Pyramid Brewing, and one of those other craft beer companies, and they make most of their money by doing contract brewing, just like city brewing, and but I just don't think it's too good. The Dundee Honey Lager was good, but a lot of those beers coming out of Rochester, they're not good.
Hey, you know that's $1 billion a year company. I mean, if you look at what they're brewing and their money, I mean, it's billions of dollars that the Winery Exchange is making off local store brand beers.
And I don't know how people can drink that stuff.
You're gonna get what you pay for. You're gonna end up getting what you pay for entirely.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way I'm going to sit there and go to Walgreens. Well, they tried selling that stuff in Louisiana, and nobody would buy it.
I don't know if we can even buy Big Flats. I've never seen Big Flats in Indiana. I've seen it in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. They sold it in New Orleans 6 years ago, and it lasted about a month.
And I don't think you can buy it. I don't think you can buy it even in Kentucky because I've not seen it.
I've never seen it.
Take a drink in it.
Yeah.
They sell a mimic of it. There's a mimic of it called Gold Mine Lager. Same thing as it's the same exact beer as Big Flats. Because if you look at the websites and compare, it's the same specs. And I tasted them. They taste the same. They sell that at Whole Foods Market. And they had them for $3.99 a 6-pack of tall cans. But that's no kind of bargain. It's a terrible beer. It tastes terrible. You could just soon go to Walmart and buy a 6-pack of Steel Reserve 211 6%, which is a much better product. It actually tastes good.
But you ever had that beer 30 Light they made?
Awful.
Never even heard of that.
Tastes like cheap store brand grape soda and roof and tar.
It was horrible.
Gross.
Roof and tar. You like beer that smells like roof and tar?
I don't think so.
Charles brought me a 6-pack that one time. I drank one, almost threw the other 5 at him.
And that's where we run into the problem with the beer people saying we like all the junk beers and all. I tell them, man, you don't know what a junk beer is. Until you drink Milwaukee Special Reserve Ice from City Brewing, you don't know bad beer. I have a friend that I work with. Believe me, his beer appreciation is minimal, okay? To him, the best beer in the world is Budweiser, so there's his reference point, okay? I brought him a can of Milwaukee Special Reserve Ice, same thing as Beer 30 Ice. He took one sip and poured it down a drain. One sip.
You ever drink a beer called Rhinelander Light?
Rhinelander. No, we've never gotten Rhinelander, but I hear it's an atrocity. It's horrible.
Oh my God! I bought a 12-pack at one time. Like a 12-pack was like $5.99, and I bought a 12-pack of that, dude. You've heard that term neighbor beer. You drink one beer, you don't like it, you give it to your neighbors when they come over. I couldn't even give that crap away, dude. It was so terrible.
I would dream of giving that to a neighbor.
I kept one can back just to say, I've got an open can because I collect full cans. But oh my God, it was freaking terrible.
Well, people love my Linda Ronstadt photos. Hey, just thought I'd mention that. Eric, you saw him.
Yes. Oh yeah. Ooh yeah.
Of course, that was 40 years ago. 38 years ago. Well, anyway, these beers are so bad. It's like every sip you take, and John can verify what I'm saying. Every sip you take, you're like this.
Yeah.
It is this Boxer lager. It is so unpleasant. It is like, so look, if you've not been in the real gutter, then you don't understand.
Yeah,
so
you
I got people telling me, yeah, I got people telling me, you idiot, you drank Busch and you drank Budweiser. It's true. And that stuff is the worst beer on the planet. I'll say, you don't know what the worst beer is. If you drink beer 30 ice, you would think Budweiser is the best beer on the planet.
We went to the couple last year. Me and Chuck, Charles, and another guy went to Street Rod Nationals, and we stopped back by this beverage warehouse is what it's called. And there's several of them in Louisville, big warehouse type place.
I'm listening. I'm going to get some water.
And we bought this beer called, I believe it was called Pittsburgh Light. It was like hardly nothing for a 30-pack. But, I mean, honestly, it was pretty freaking good. I mean, if I could buy another 30-pack of it, I probably would, but it didn't last long.
What was it called?
I believe it was called Pittsburgh Light.
Iron City Light.
Well, yeah, basically, but it was called Pittsburgh Light.
Oh, Pittsburgh. Oh, so it's like a cheap ripoff of Iron City.
Yeah, it's made by the same people who made Iron City.
But it tasted all right?
Yeah, I like Iron City. I mean, I can't get Iron City right here. There's an individual at work that goes up there and he brings me back some Pittsburgh beers every once in a while. So it's yeah, he brought me a whole case of Iron City not too long.
Interesting.
Eric, I can make a statement right now that would upset you a little bit.
Go ahead.
You know a beer that I drank that I really did not like? It had a weird metallic flavor. It had a metallic flavor, and it tasted like, I just didn't like. I gave it a C. I was being generous. I gave it a C minus. It is so inferior to Genesee Cream Ale and, well, of course, Trifecta Cream Ale from Louisiana. It was just, and Ballantine Ale, which is a cream ale. I don't want to say it, but I got to say it. Narragansett Cream Ale. That stuff was a train wreck. That was a dumpster fire, as people like to say on the internet.
Well, I mean, it was made in the same place as Jenny Cream Ale. If you would think that there would be quality control there, but I guess not.
But it's two different recipes.
Yep.
And that recipe for Narragansett Cream Ale is...
I've never had that.
I don't see most people drinking that, so I think you might be on to something.
I didn't really like Genesee Lager. I mean, Narragansett Lager, if you want to be techno. It was one Narragansett beer I thought was pretty good. Golly, I can't remember the name of it.
They have a Bohemian Pilsner, a Bach beer, a light beer.
I think it was the Bach.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, we can't get it down here anyway. The only place I've ever seen Narragansett beers is in Florida.
Yep, that's a strange place for that.
Well, because it's on the East Coast, you see. So you're just going right down Interstate 95, you understand?
Yep.
From Maine. Right. So if you can get it in New England, 9 times out of 10, you can get it in Florida, all the way down to Miami.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's Interstate 95, so they're just dropping it off. One highway, they're just dropping it off all the way down.
Gotcha.
That's my presumption, because I've noticed it. Go to Florida and it's nothing but East Coast beers.
Right. Yeah.
Mostly from up north.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know. There's a lot of beers in Florida that, I've noticed that because, for instance, the Spencer Trappist Ale. I mean, we got down to Florida. We found that in a couple of places. I mean, it's pretty expensive, but I like it. So.
Oh yeah, that's that New England Trappist monastery.
Yeah.
That's right. First one in America.
Wow.
For certified Trappist ale in America.
Certified. You've had it, I've taken, Eric.
Yes, I've had it a couple times. I thought that was very well done, and I guess they tried a couple of different beers as well from those guys out in Spencer. I think they did a version of a Belgian Strong and I
Yeah.
think they might have done a triple as well or something like that.
Yeah, he done a couple different varieties of them.
But the one that the one that you find the one that the normal one that you'll find is just their golden ale.
Yeah.
That's the one I've
what they
seen.
really sell.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen people posting on the internet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this
I tried a Belgian beer yesterday that was sure delicious.
right?
There it is.
I'm not for sure that we didn't get like $30 a 4-pack for that down in Florida.
They're a little ridiculously priced, the Spencer Trappist Ale stuff. Just a little bit.
$30. I'd have to imagine how good it was.
Yeah, just do that.
I drank a beer yesterday from Belgium called Christmuskie.
Huh.
It's really Slap Muskie Christmas Ale.
Interesting.
Slap Muskie is a Belgian. They make doubles and triples, and this was a double spiced ale for Christmas. 7.5% alcohol, or 7.4% alcohol. Pretty nice. And it was only, it was $3.99, but it was really, those Belgian beers have all those raisin and date flavors.
Yeah. The dark yeast flavor.
And the yeast, and it's
Yeast
like a Christmas cake, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But this video I'm noticing here is probably either close to or we have far exceeded an hour in this one. So I definitely wanted to get to this one question in particular before we get out of here and before I discover there's no more beer left in my town to buy before the Super Bowl here. But what do you all think is going to be the outcome of this game? I don't know if I have any idea of exactly what kind of a score it's going to be. But I would definitely say personally that I think that the Carolina Panthers are going to win this game. But I don't think that I don't buy it if anybody wants to tell you that this thing is going to be a blowout. I don't buy that at all.
Well,
I'm gonna say Peyton Manning 21-14.
And go out and retire.
Yeah.
And Maria is not watching the game, she says. And I don't blame her, to tell you the truth.
Maria. I've watched the last 39 Super Bowls. Well, it's a hard call because these Super Bowls are very tricky. You think something's going to happen and the opposite happens.
Right.
I think Carolina's going to win because they're very powerful. They've only lost one game all year. There's 17 wins and 1 loss. That's pretty impressive. But on the other hand, I've seen too many crazy things in that game, and I think it's mostly attributable to nerves. These players are so nervous, right? And I'm just watching. I'm like, oh, well, whatever happens, I don't care. I'm eating some snacks and drinking beer. But they are really nervous because this is a major deal. And plus, it's a lot of money on the line for them.
Exactly.
They paid a lot of money if they win that game. So I think what they do, well, maybe that's not really true because what I've heard is what they do is the teams get together. If you win, you get this much money, and if you lose, you get a lot less. But I think what they do is they pool the money. And no matter who wins, they divide it up evenly. From what I understand, they do that. They've done that for the World Series ever since. I don't mean the league does it. The players do it privately. And
I get it.
You can't tell people what to do with their own money, But they still want to win it because they want to win this championship. And they get so nervous that if one thing goes wrong at the beginning of the game, psychologically they can't adapt and they collapse, and then it's a runaway.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see how that goes. How that game goes is do the Panthers win after almost going an undefeated season practically? And does Cam Newton finally get the recognition he deserves as a Heisman Trophy winner, or does Peyton Manning finally win another trophy and bring Super Bowl championships back to Denver? And will he retire if this happens? Those are all kinds of questions that hopefully will or will not be answered in the next few weeks.
I hope so. The next few hours, you mean?
Yeah. You never know with Peyton Manning. He could go the way of Brett Favre and keep saying, "Oh, I retired." Oh, no, wait a minute, I lied.
Yeah.
But
Well, thanks for inviting me to this hangout.
absolutely, appreciate that.
You have a good one, sweetheart. You're an awesome person.
Who you telling that to, Maria?
Yeah. He's telling I'm a sweet person. Thank you.
Yeah.
But anyways, before we end, I think for all of us, our PA announcement our public service announcement will be: if you're going to those parties, you're having a few beers, you make sure you got a way to get home safely and soundly, and you're not in the back of a cop cruiser tonight. All right.
Yeah, because if you're drinking and driving, you're gonna have a lot more to worry about than a speeding ticket, and I have to drive to New Orleans and pay. You're gonna have a lot more to deal with than a speeding ticket.
Exactly. Yep. I'm going and picking up my buddy right now. We're gonna go get some 18 or 30 rack or whatever we decide to buy, and if he has a little bit too much to drink, I have an extra bed. He can use it for the night, and that's all that matters.
Excellent.
Yeah, we keep safe while doing it.
There are so many hangouts online. If you watched every hangout online, you would never do anything your whole life but watch hangouts online. But it was fun anyway, you know.
All right, happy Super Bowl, and keep partying in safety. Cheers.
We were glad to help you flood the market.